Alright guys, so for today's posing video, we're going to be looking at the Civil War Black Panther suit. It's not the easiest figure to pose, but we're going to try to make it work in this video. Alright guys, so I thought I'd make a video on how to get a decent pose out of a figure whose material could be a little stressful. Maybe you don't want to damage the suit, so that's why you maybe don't pose a figure too much. But I'm here trying to show you guys that you can make a pretty decent figure without putting too much strain on the suit. And then after that, we're going to be looking at some more poses that I got out of this Black Panther figure. So pretty much where I like to start off is at the torso. So you want to make sure, so you want to check that when you get the figure, how much you could actually move the torso. That's actually probably one of the biggest parts of posing a figure, is how much the torso actually moves. For this specific pose, we're just going to twist it to the side a little bit. That's usually one of the more natural and go-to movements or adjustments you make. Just the torso right here. That's already looking a little bit better than how it was before. The next thing I usually do is go for the head. Most people just have it straight on like this. What I like to do is either tilt it down or up. Usually my go-to is tilting it down. It looks a little bit more menacing. And since we're gonna have him pose sideways like this, you're just gonna want to just turn the head a little bit. One thing that you will realize is that usually you can go straight from here to here and won't have to make too many adjustments, but if you play around with it a little bit, sometimes you find a pose that's a little bit better for the head. Maybe looking up, maybe a little bit down, makes it look a little bit more badass. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the arm placements. With this, usually somebody's arm is going to be completely straight like that, so even if you don't want to damage the suit, a little bit of a bend isn't going to put too much strain on it, regardless of the material. So what I tend to do is just put a little bit of bend in the arm and kind of hide it behind the body. That way, this arm, you don't really, depending on what you want to go for, you can leave an arm kind of like this. If it's going out like this, that also looks pretty good. Any more out like that, it doesn't look as natural. If you have it backwards, it also doesn't really look that natural in my opinion. So I usually just bend this arm backwards a little bit. You're going to be using this up here. Use that for leverage and push it back right there. All right, so that's already looking a lot better than straight out of the box, how it usually looks. So we're going to be moving on to this arm right here. Because it's a Black Panther figure, I like showing off the claws. What I usually do, I usually bend it outwards like this. As far up as I can go. Kind of like he's showing off the claws. Maybe tilt the head down a little bit more. That's one of those micro adjustments that you make as you go along with your pose. If you don't want to put too much strain on this elbow right here, as you can see, mine is a little bit in rough shape. I don't really mind because I pose my figures a lot, and I usually leave them in that pose. But if you are just gonna leave it a little bit lower, I'd say probably adjust the hand right here. If you have it out too much like that, that doesn't look really as natural. No one's hand is ever going outwards away from their body like that. But if you want to show off the claw, just tilt it up a little bit right there. Or you could switch this out for a fist. And if you do that, just keep it right by his side and leave it right there. I'm going to go with this. The next thing we're going to be looking at is probably the final part. And it's the part that really puts it all together. Is this thigh right here. So usually your figures are going to look like this. They're going to be straight. What you want to do is just twist this out to the side and then twist the foot. So you're gonna twist the foot, twist this thigh out, and we're gonna do in the opposite direction with the other thigh. So it was like this. We're gonna move it out like this, move the foot out a little bit, and also we're gonna push it back so it looks like he's walking towards somebody. Like I said, a lot of this is just making micro adjustments. So because I was posing with the legs, he kind of looks like he's leaning backwards. I don't really want that, so I'm going to lean him forward a little bit. And after that, it's just a matter of trying to get the balance right. See, you could also have the foot going forward like that. I'm not sure if the camera is going to show it. I don't really like how that looks. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is put the leg backwards. And then you're just going to be focusing on this bottom part. Trying to get that in there. So I'm not really completely sold on how that looks. Just keep making adjustments until you get it right. Still doesn't look right. Just trying to get the balance. There we go. So right there, you have a pretty decent, non-stressful suit. I have to turn it with my hand, but I'm getting one of those rotating desks pretty soon. This doesn't look too bad, I would say. But this just goes to show you, just making small adjustments. The main things I always like to focus on, like I said earlier, are in the mix. Whoop, don't knock that over. In the midsection right here, just twisting that, and then the head. After that, you want to move on probably to the arms, depending on what pose you're going for. And you just keep making small adjustments here and there until you get the pose that you want. And up next, we're going to look at some other poses that I came up with this guy. They're a little bit different and also very easy to pull off as long as you know kind of what you're going for. So let's take a look at that. So the first pose we have here is reminiscent of the first time we actually see T'Challa in his full suit in Civil War. He brings out the claws immediately and then starts fighting Winter Soldier. I kind of went for something like that. And I actually like this pose a lot. I think I might keep it in this pose in my display. The next one we have is a fairly simple pose as well. Something you could do is bring that first hand upwards so the claws are a little bit more out and more of in an attacking position. It's also a really simple pose to come up with, and it's fairly easy on the bodysuit as well. The next pose I went with is one that I saw in some Black Panther art on Google. Getting this position to balance is a little bit easier than most, but one thing you want to keep in mind is to make sure that the arm is going backwards, so you can get kind of like that cocking motion of his arm, and then also just adjust the head and twisted body like we were talking about earlier in the video. The next pose I went with, I also really like. This is also reminiscent of Civil War when he gets knocked back and he kind of skids backwards but stops himself. This is really similar to the previous pose that we just had. One thing that you might want to keep in mind is that the claws are pretty sharp. So the one hand that's actually on his thigh, you probably want to switch that out for the hand that doesn't have the claws out. But either way, it's a really natural look for Black Panther. And like I said, it invokes those images of Civil War as well. The next pose I got was just by looking up his style of fighting. And there's a lot of martial arts that goes into his fighting style. At first, I thought it wouldn't be possible to get his leg up that high, but you can do it. Just be careful because there is a limit to the material in the suit, so you don't want to overstretch it and partially rip the bottom near the crotch area there. I didn't think it was possible to get him standing alone, so I had to stand, but I found out that if you just mess around with it enough, he can stand on just that foot, which makes for a really cool, really eye-catching pose that you can have him in your display. So that's another one you guys can go with. And then finally, we have probably the most cat-like pose is him on all fours, or in this case, 3. He's also getting ready to pounce. I decided to go with the open palm. That way it looks like he's actually grabbing onto the ground. You can't see it really in this pose, but if you put it flat, he actually looks like he's grabbing onto the ground and getting ready to pounce. The importance here is trying to get that arm cocked back like he's going to use that same hand to claw whatever is in his way, and also keeping the spine kind of straight. And when you do that, you're going to have to lift his head upwards as well because he's going to be looking downward, and that's not going to give you the look that you're actually going for. Also, you want to remember the back leg. One of them is going to be kind of in a kneeing motion and the other one is going to be kind of straight outwards. This is not only going to make it look a lot more natural and cat-like, but it's also going to give you the balance you need to actually pull off this pose. And that was my video for posing the Civil War Black Panther. Up next, I'm probably going to do the solo movie Black Panther, so keep an eye out for that video. And if this video helped you in any way, please give it a like and subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot more of these videos. And I've already done a few, pretty much all the Spider-Man figures that I own, so keep an eye out for more posing videos from me.